Okay everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're back on GT Sport and we're back with our first track guide in these Super Formula cars at Suzuka. We're in the Honda version of this car for this track guide, as it is a single make race. You cannot pick the Toyota, so obviously having to use the Honda for this. Now this lap is, I think, currently P5 in the top 10 stars. It was number 1 for a very short amount of time, then it was down to about P3, but it's still in the top 5, I think, at the moment of doing this commentary. So hopefully it'll be in the top 10 for a few more days. There is more potential with the lap. Very aggressive car. You've got to drive this so aggressively and really push the limits through the corners, really, and the braking zones. It can carry so much speed, high downforce, very much a case of keeping on the throttle as much as possible. It likes to rev, so you want to keep them revs going, coming through the corners and getting on the 50% throttle coming out some of the corners as much as possible, which we'll go through when we're going to go through this track guide now, pointing out some of the braking zones and areas where you want to put a little bit of throttle in as early as possible, etc., and try and get as maximum amount of speed out of this car as you can. So we're going to try and help you out, see if I can get you into as high a qualifying position as possible and start this track guide as the replay goes over the line for the end of that one. 36.202 I think the lap was. So let's start the track guide. Obviously coming through the final corner, you want to make sure you get a nice clean exit, an early upshift into third gear there. You really want to try and rev this car out. You see I really pushed the limit on the revs, pretty much near to the limit on every gear change. See slightly ahead of the ghost there, just double checking that. Now into the first corner, you're not going to brake until very late. Just look how late it is before the brakes. We're almost halfway through the apex of the corner before we put in any braking input in, and now we're going to really be aggressive on the brakes, but then start trail braking through down into third gear, and you want to clip that left hand tyre almost onto the curb, but not risking it too much that you're going to chance spinning it. Now we're going to try and clip the apex of that right hand corner and early upshift into fourth gear to maximise the acceleration coming out the corner. Then into fifth gear, we're not going to brake at that point, and then at this point we're just going to give a little dab of the brakes to get the weight transfer onto the front tyres and to try and give the grip to the front, as we're going to carry a lot of speed. You can see we're already back on the throttle there in fourth gear to put full throttle in nearly there, maximum throttle already. And again we're going to swing it into this left hand corner, and again very similar to what we just done, just a tiny amount of braking input just to get the weight transfer to the front. And I'm going to stay in fourth gear here, just a little lift off the throttle just to get it to bite into the apex. And then again for this right hand corner we're going to do it very similar again to the other corners, just a little bit of braking input just to get the weight transfer, and you want to try and hold it to this apex as much as possible. But look how early we're back on the throttle, so aggressive with the throttle to get this car, the speed out of this car. You've got to be very aggressive and have confidence in the downforce that this car provides. Now into the really fast right hand corner, you're going to say we're not going to lift through this corner. Sixth gear, 100% attack. We're going to start turning in quite a bit before that 50 board there. You can see we're already turning in, and cut that corner slightly, stay in sixth gear, and then as soon as your left hand tyre is basically touching the curb on the left hand side, we're going to hit the brakes aggressively on the brakes as well, down into third gear, and try and carry as much speed as possible through this corner. You're going to watch how fast I get back on the throttle as we go through the corner. You see the throttle is already on there. Early upshift into fourth gear again to try and make sure we carry as much speed out of the corner as possible. Then we're going to look for our braking. Pretty much as soon as the car's in a straight line and you pass the curb on the right hand side, we're onto the brakes and aggressively onto the brakes, down into first gear, and try and clip the apex almost there, just skimming the apex with the left hand tyre. And look how early we're back on the throttle. You really got to be getting the little bit of throttle in early there, 50% throttle, almost 40-50% throttle, and then maximum throttle, and then early upshift in second and third gear. That just prevents too much wheel spin and really gets good traction out the corner. You can see we actually gained from the ghost there quite nicely as we go into the long left hand spoon corner. Now this corner you've got to be very aggressive again. You can see they're braking just short of the 50 board. We're going to go down into fourth gear and carry as much speed as possible through this corner. You're going to see clipping the apex of the corner with your left hand tyre, and then back on the throttle pretty much instantly to maximum throttle. And you see there again, then just as we're coming into this corner, we're going to start hitting the brakes so we can really carry a tight line through this corner. It's really an advantage to stay as close to this curb as possible so you can get on the throttle very early. And again we upshift early into fourth gear. Possibly could have took a little bit more speed through that corner. You can see the ghost has actually caught me up slightly there as we got there, so maybe lost half a tenth to a tenth there just through not getting on the power early enough. Now this corner is basically non-existent. You don't need to worry about lifting or anything through it. It's flat out. And then into the heavy braking zone, the final chicane, just before the 100 board, we're going to brake aggressively on the brakes again, downshifting it very fast. You've got to be very fast with the downshift with this car. It can cope with it. and you're going to attack the apex of both these corners on this last chicane and kind of cut it slightly. There, almost a cut, but this corner you can actually cut slightly. But your right hand tyre just slightly goes over the white line on the right hand side. You're going to see here now. We go over the left hand side, then on the throttle as early as possible, early up shift into third gear, and you can see the car nearly losing control on the curb there. I was really aggressive, maybe lost half a tenth there as we got on the accelerator, and we go over the line with a 1 minute 36.2. So a reasonably good lap, quite a clean and tidy lap. A few little errors. I think there is a 1 minute 35 possible for myself at this combination, but like I say, that would be pushing. I think I could just about get a 35.9, but it wouldn't be the easiest to do. You can see, watching it from the chase camera now, just how much of the track we use on this. This is what I talk about again, using the maximum amount of track, really swinging it and aggressively swinging it into these corners. Just look at the grip this car has because of the downforce. You can really chuck it in, and clipping the apex is pretty much perfect on this lap. Look how we're getting, it's almost a rhythm with the car. You've got to go from left to right to left to right because of the downforce and swinging it into these corners aggressively on the brakes there, you can see. And just clipping the apex is almost every corner, running as wide as we can to carry as much speed out of the corner as possible. And you're going to see this now, how we almost get a drift going with the acceleration, but because of the short shift, it controls that acceleration out of the corner, and we actually gained a bit because of that. We did that really nice coming out of that corner. And now we're going to go into that long spoon corner. You're going to see what I mean about carrying extreme speed, because the way you've got to really push the downforce this car has. Just look at the speed we carry through there, and then down into third gear, hugging the inside, clipping the apex early onto the throttle, using some of the curb on the exit. We could have used a bit more maybe and gotten the throttle a little bit earlier, and that's where we slightly lost time. But then this left hand corner, like I say, no need to worry about lifting through this. It's completely flat out, no lift needed. And then into the heavy braking zone, and just watch the gear shifting as we go down through the gears, very aggressively through the gears. And you can see how we cut that a bit there on that second part of the apex. And then look at that curb, just nearly losing control of it, just managing to catch it and staying to the right hand side for the shortest possible line. So quite a nice lap there. Hope that track guide has helped you out. I hope it improves your time. Let me know in the comment section if it does. I'm going to let you watch the lap at full speed without any commentary and just listen to the engine roar as it goes around this lap at maximum speed. Anyway, hit that like button if you've enjoyed this video. We'll be back with more streams and videos very soon. Thanks again for watching, everyone.